Season 4, Episode 8, The 20-Slot Framework, Designing Within Human Limits. In the previous episode, we explored why portfolios often fail from complexity. Not because the investments themselves are flawed, but because the structure becomes too complicated for the investor to operate calmly and consistently. Complex systems are difficult to manage, difficult to understand, and during periods of market stress, difficult to trust. This raises a natural question. If simplicity is important, how simple should a portfolio actually be? How many moving parts can a person realistically manage over decades of investing? There is no universal answer to that question. Every investor is different. Some people enjoy deep analysis, others prefer minimal involvement. But experience across many portfolios suggests something surprisingly consistent. Human attention has limits. And portfolios that exceed those limits tend to become fragile. This is where the idea of the 20-slot framework becomes useful. The framework is simple. Imagine your portfolio as having a limited number of slots. Each slot represents a meaningful allocation of capital, a position large enough to matter to the overall system. The exact size of a slot can vary depending on the investor. But the idea is that each slot represents something you are willing to understand, monitor, and hold with conviction. The framework suggests that most people can realistically manage about 20 such positions. Not because 20 is a magical number, but because it sits near the boundary of what a person can follow thoughtfully over long periods of time. Think about what managing a single position actually requires: understanding the business or asset, following major developments, monitoring whether the original investment thesis still makes sense, and maintaining the emotional discipline to hold through inevitable market fluctuations. That kind of attention takes energy. Multiply that by dozens of positions, and the task quickly becomes overwhelming. At some point, the portfolio becomes too large to truly understand, and when understanding disappears, discipline often follows. This is why the 20-slot idea is helpful. It creates a natural constraint. Instead of accumulating investments indefinitely, the investor is forced to think carefully about what deserves a place in the portfolio. Every slot becomes valuable. Adding something new means asking a difficult question. Is this opportunity strong enough to replace something that is already working? That simple constraint encourages thoughtful decision-making. It discourages unnecessary complexity, and it keeps the machine understandable. The framework also has an interesting side effect. It encourages conviction. When a portfolio contains too many tiny positions, no single investment truly matters. Everything becomes background noise. But when each slot represents meaningful capital, the investor becomes more selective, more thoughtful, more patient, and that patience often improves long-term outcomes. Another benefit of the slot framework is that it naturally supports diversification without encouraging overcomplication. A 20-slot portfolio can easily contain different forms of capital: growth positions, income-producing assets, stability components, optional opportunities. Each slot plays a role within the machine, and because the total number of positions remains limited, the structure remains clear. The investor can always see how the pieces fit together. Importantly, the framework is not meant to be rigid. Some investors may prefer 15 positions. Others may comfortably manage 25. The precise number matters less than the principle behind it. The portfolio should remain small enough that the investor can truly understand it. Not just list the holdings, but understand the structure, understand the roles, understand how the machine functions as a whole. This idea reflects a deeper truth about portfolio design. Good systems respect human limitations. They are not designed for theoretical perfection. They are designed for real people operating in an uncertain world. And systems that align with human behavior tend to last much longer. In the next episode, we'll build on this idea by examining how individual positions interact within the portfolio. Because once the number of slots is limited, another important question appears. How much capital should be placed in each one? Too little concentration, and the portfolio may become diluted. Too much concentration, and the system may become fragile. Finding the right balance between conviction and resilience is one of the most important challenges in portfolio design. And that balance begins with understanding something called slot risk.